All right, so this week we're diving into something pretty wild.
Wild is right.
Yeah, we're talking cryptocurrency in 2025 under a Trump presidency.
It's definitely an unexpected combination.
Right. Like, who would have predicted that Trump would be back in the White House?
And that he'd be grappling with the future of Bitcoin.
Exactly. It's like a reality TV show we can't stop watching.
And we've got this stack of articles predicting everything from Bitcoin hitting $150,000.
To the U.S. government launching its own digital dollar.
Yeah, it's a lot to unpack.
Where do we even begin?
Well, maybe we should start with the irony of it all in Trump. You know, he's called Bitcoin a scam in the past.
He has. He's a big fan of the U.S. dollar.
But some of his policies could actually end up boosting the crypto market.
It's like that saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, but in this case, it's more like unintentional help.
Exactly. Like, his focus on economic growth could push big players like banks and investment firms to embrace crypto even more.
I can see it now, your bank offering you a Bitcoin savings account.
Right. Talk about mainstream or option.
It's crazy to think how far Bitcoin has come. I remember when it was just this niche thing that tech geeks talked about.
Now we're hearing predictions of it reaching $100,000, $150,000 in the next couple of years.
So is Bitcoin the new digital gold?
That's the question a lot of people are asking.
Yeah.
And those predictions aren't coming out of thin air.
What's driving those numbers?
Well, for one thing, you have the upcoming Bitcoin halving events.
Remind me how these work again?
Basically, every 4 years, the reward for mining Bitcoin gets cut in half.
Okay.
And that reduces the rate at which new Bitcoins are created, making them more scarce.
Ah, supply and demand.
Exactly. And then you have the fact that there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins in existence.
It's built into the code, right?
Yeah, it's a hard limit.
Yeah.
So that limited supply combined with increasing demand from institutions and everyday investors.
It creates a recipe for a potential price surge.
Right.
So Bitcoin is looking pretty bullish, but what about the rest of the crypto universe? Will Ethereum be riding this wave too?
Ethereum's got its own exciting developments going on. With Ethereum 2.0, it's addressing its scalability issues head on.
Scalability, that was always one of the big criticisms of Ethereum, right?
Exactly. The network was getting bogged down by all the traffic, leading to high transaction fees and slower processing times.
Yeah, the dreaded gas fees.
But Ethereum 2.0 is designed to make the network much more efficient and scalable.
So is that what's driving those predictions of Ethereum reaching $8,000 or even $10,000 by 2025?
That's part of it. These scalability improvements are opening up new possibilities for decentralized finance, DeFi, and NFTs.
Okay, break those down for us. DeFi and NFTs, they sound a bit intimidating.
DeFi is basically finance without the banks.
Mm.
Think lending, borrowing, earning interest, all on a decentralized platform.
So it's like cutting out the middleman and giving power back to the people.
You got it. And NFTs are these unique digital assets that represent ownership of something digital.
Like digital art, music, even virtual real estate.
Yeah, basically anything that can be represented digitally can be turned into an NFT.
So you're not just buying a copy of a digital file, you're actually owning the original.
Right. And that ownership is verified on the blockchain.
Okay, I'm starting to see the appeal. So Ethereum's upgrades are paving the way for all sorts of new applications, and that's driving up its value.
Exactly.
So it's not just Bitcoin that's looking bullish. The whole crypto space seems to be buzzing with potential.
Yeah, there's a lot of excitement and optimism.
Yeah.
But the articles we have here also paint a pretty grim picture of what could happen if things go south.
Okay, so it's not all Lambos and moon landings.
Right. There's always the flip side.
Yeah.
A global recession, for example, or overly strict regulations could send the market tumbling.
Sending Bitcoin back down to what, $20,000, $30,000?
Yeah, potentially. And Ethereum could take a hit too.
So it's a high-stakes game. It seems like the future of crypto under Trump is going to be anything but boring.
That's for sure. Buckle up.
All right, before we get ahead of ourselves, let's take a step back for a second and remind our listeners what's so revolutionary about cryptocurrency in the first place. Why should we even care about these digital tokens?
That's a good point. At its core, cryptocurrency is about challenging the traditional financial system. It's about decentralization, the idea that you don't need banks or governments to control your money.
It's power to the people.
Exactly. It's also about transparency and security, thanks to the underlying technology of blockchain.
Blockchain, the word that seems to be everywhere these days. Break it down for us. Why is this tech such a big deal?
Imagine a digital record of every transaction ever made with a certain cryptocurrency.
Okay.
And that record is spread across a network of computers, making it virtually impossible to tamper with. That's blockchain in a nutshell.
Secure, transparent, and revolutionary.
Exactly.
I'm starting to see the appeal. But with thousands of cryptocurrencies out there, each claiming to be the next big thing, it can be hard to know what's real and what's hype. Where do you see the most potential in the next few years?
That's the challenge, right? It's like the Wild West out there.
So many options, so many risks.
Exactly. But beyond Bitcoin and Ethereum, keep an eye on Layer 2 solutions.
Layer 2 solutions.
These are platforms like Polygon and Arbitrum that are built on top of Ethereum to address its scalability issues.
Oh, so they're trying to make transactions faster and cheaper?
Exactly. They're like side roads that help to alleviate traffic on the main highway.
So potentially good news for anyone tired of those Ethereum gas fees. Anything else we should be paying attention to?
Absolutely. We're also seeing this fascinating convergence of AI and blockchain technology.
AI and blockchain. Now that's an interesting combination.
Projects like SingularityNet are using AI to create decentralized marketplaces for AI services.
Like what kind of services?
Everything from image recognition and natural language processing to data analysis and prediction markets.
So it's like an Uber for AI algorithms.
Yeah, you could think of it that way. It's a way to connect people who need AI services with those who can provide them.
And all this is happening on a decentralized blockchain.
Right. It's a glimpse into a future where AI and blockchain work together to solve some of the world's most pressing problems.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. We've got this potential financial revolution happening, and now Trump's back in the White House, possibly shaking things up even more.
And one of the biggest potential shakeups is the possibility of the U.S. government launching its own digital currency, a central bank digital currency, or CBDC.
Wait a minute. Trump's the one who called Bitcoin a scam? Now he wants to create a government-backed crypto.
It seems counterintuitive, right? But it's definitely on the table.
So imagine a digital dollar controlled by the government competing with Bitcoin.
It's a wild thought.
It sounds like we're heading into uncharted territory here. But before we go down that rabbit hole, let's talk about the elephant in the room.
What's that?
Some people still think crypto is just one giant scam.
Yeah, it's understandable why some people are skeptical.
I mean, we've all heard the horror stories about scams and rug pulls.
Right. But it's important to remember that crypto, at its core, is built on trust in the underlying technology.
But unlike traditional currencies backed by governments or assets like gold, what exactly is backing crypto? It's all a bit intangible, isn't it?
You're right, it's a different kind of trust. It's trust in the cryptography, the decentralized nature of the network, and the community that supports it.
So it's like a combination of tech and faith.
You could say that. Take Bitcoin's finite supply of 21 million coins as an example.
Yeah.
That scarcity is what drives its value, much like a limited edition artwork or a rare collectible.
Okay, so it's like a combination of trust in the tech and good old-fashioned supply and demand. But even if we trust the technology, what about the potential for misuse? Can't crypto be used for all sorts of shady activities?
It's true that crypto has been used for illegal activities.
Yeah,
But let's not forget that cash has a long history of being used for illicit purposes, too.
that's a good point.
The important thing is that the industry is actively working to address these concerns.
So they're trying to clean up crypto's image.
Exactly. We're seeing more robust anti-money laundering measures being implemented, and regulatory frameworks are evolving to provide greater transparency and oversight.
So it's a work in progress, but the industry is taking steps in the right direction. But putting aside the potential for crime, there's another big question hanging out there. Can crypto really replace traditional money? Will we all be paying for our groceries with Bitcoin anytime soon?
That's a question a lot of people are asking. While crypto adoption is steadily increasing, it's unlikely that it will completely replace fiat currencies like the US dollar in the near future.
So you don't think the dollar's going away anytime soon?
Probably not. Governments are unlikely to relinquish control over monetary policy anytime soon.
So it's more of a coexistence than a takeover.
I think so.
But how do we bridge the gap between the crypto world and the traditional financial system? These two worlds seem so different.
That's where stablecoins come in.
Stablecoins.
They're cryptocurrencies pegged to the value of fiat currencies like the US dollar.
So they offer the best of both worlds.
You could say that stablecoins like USDT and USDC offer the price stability that's crucial for everyday transactions.
So they're like a gateway drug to the wider crypto world?
They could be. They make crypto more user-friendly and accessible to the masses.
Stablecoins, the bridge between two worlds. Now, that's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
But beyond just buying and selling things, what other ways could crypto change our lives in the coming years? The possibilities seem endless.
We're just scratching the surface. Decentralized finance, or DeFi, is a game changer.
DeFi, you mentioned that before.
Right. Imagine being able to lend, borrow and earn interest without going through a bank. DeFi platforms are making this a reality.
Cutting out the middleman again.
Exactly. And it's opening up financial opportunities to people who have traditionally been excluded from the system.
DeFi giving power back to the people. I like the sound of that. What else is on the horizon?
We've already talked about NFTs, but they're worth mentioning again because their potential goes far beyond just digital art.
Okay, remind us what those are again.
NFTs are those unique digital tokens that represent ownership of something digital.
Like a digital deed to a piece of virtual land.
Exactly. Or the original version of a piece of digital art or a song. We're seeing NFTs being used in real estate supply chain management, even voting systems.
NFTs are definitely having their moment in the sun. It feels like blockchain technology is going to touch every aspect of our lives in some way.
It's a powerful technology with the potential to transform many industries.
This deep dive has been a wild ride so far. From Trump's unexpected return to the White House to the potential for a government-backed digital dollar, it seems like anything is possible.
Hold on tight, because things are about to get even more interesting. We've only just scratched the surface of this complex and rapidly evolving landscape.
Okay, you've piqued my curiosity. Let's take a closer look at this potential government-backed digital currency and explore what it could mean for the future of crypto.
Let's do it. The CBDC is just one piece of the puzzle, but it's a significant one. So we've established that the crypto world is anything but predictable.
That's for sure.
And a Trump presidency could really throw a wrench in things.
Yeah, who knows what he'll do next?
Let's unpack this idea of a government-backed digital currency a bit more.
This whole CBDC thing is still kind of mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, it's a big shift.
A government issuing its own digital currency. It sounds like something out of a science fiction novel.
It may sound futuristic, but it's a concept that's gaining serious traction globally.
I guess so.
Think about it. Your tax refunds or Social Security checks could arrive instantly in a digital wallet on your phone.
That does sound convenient, but
Yeah.
doesn't that give the government even more control over our money? They could potentially track every transaction we make.
That's a valid concern, and it's fueling a lot of the debate around CBDCs.
Yeah.
Supporters argue that it could boost financial inclusion, reduce fraud, and make government services more efficient.
I see.
Plus, let's not forget that governments already have access to a lot of our financial data through traditional banking systems.
That's true. I guess we're already leaving a pretty substantial digital trail. But wouldn't a CBDC contradict the whole point of cryptocurrency for those who value its decentralized nature? Isn't it supposed to be free from government control?
Absolutely, and that's what makes the potential emergence of a CBDC so fascinating.
How so?
It creates this tension within the crypto space. On the one hand, it could legitimize digital currencies and lead to wider adoption. On the other, it could be seen as a way for governments to co-opt the technology and exert more control over the financial system.
It's like a tug of war between the forces of centralization and decentralization.
Exactly. It's a battle for the future of finance.
What do you think will happen? Will we see CBDCs replace cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum?
It's hard to say for sure. I think it's more likely that we'll see a hybrid system with CBDCs coexisting alongside decentralized cryptocurrencies.
So they could live together in harmony?
Hopefully, they could serve different purposes complementing each other.
I see.
For example, CBDCs could be used for daily transactions and government services, while decentralized cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin could remain a store of value and a hedge against inflation.
Okay, so we're potentially looking at a future with multiple currencies and platforms operating side by side. That's going to require some serious adaptation.
Definitely a paradigm shift. There will be challenges, but it's also an exciting time of innovation and opportunity. Staying informed and being adaptable are going to be crucial.
No kidding. You've given us a lot to consider. But before we move on, I wanted to circle back to something you mentioned earlier, the environmental impact of cryptocurrency. I've heard concerns about Bitcoin mining consuming huge amounts of energy. How big of a problem is this?
It's definitely a valid concern that the crypto industry needs to take seriously.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of power just to create some digital tokens.
Well, Bitcoin mining relies on a process called proof of work, which uses a massive amount of computing power to verify transactions and secure the network. This has led to criticism for its environmental footprint.
So is it all doom and gloom for the planet if crypto becomes mainstream?
Not necessarily. There are promising efforts underway to make crypto mining more sustainable.
Like what?
Some cryptocurrencies, like Ethereum, are transitioning to a less energy-intensive model called proof of stake.
Okay, and how is that different?
Instead of relying on massive computing power, proof of stake relies on users staking their coins to validate transactions.
So it's more about ownership than raw processing power.
Exactly. And it's much more energy efficient. And there are initiatives to use renewable energy sources for mining operations.
So it's not a lost cause. The crypto industry is taking steps to address its environmental impact.
They have to if they want to be seen as a viable alternative to the traditional financial system.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about the potential for cryptocurrency to empower individuals and communities.
Yes. The idea of democratizing finance. It's one of the most compelling aspects of cryptocurrency.
Tell me more about that.
By cutting out intermediaries like banks and governments, crypto offers greater control over personal finances and allows people to participate in the global economy on a more level playing field.
It's like giving everyone access to the tools and opportunities that were once exclusive to the elite.
Exactly. And this is particularly important for people in developing countries who may not have access to traditional banking services.
I can see how that would be a game changer.
Crypto provides a secure and affordable way to store and transfer value, potentially helping to lift people out of poverty.
That's a powerful idea. It's about using technology to create a more inclusive and equitable financial system. But I imagine there are challenges in bringing crypto to those who need it most.
There are. Education is key. We need to make sure people understand how crypto works, how to use it safely, and how to protect themselves from scams.
That's essential, especially in a world where scams are rampant.
Absolutely. Accessibility is another hurdle. Not everyone has access to smartphones or the internet, which are essential for most cryptocurrencies.
So while the potential is there, there's still work to be done to make crypto truly accessible to everyone.
Absolutely. However, the progress in just the past few years is remarkable. The crypto community is growing rapidly, and there are countless initiatives focused on raising awareness and promoting adoption in underserved communities.
So there's hope for the future. It's inspiring to see how this technology is being used for positive change. But let's not forget about the speculative side of crypto. The articles you shared mentioned Bitcoin potentially reaching $150,000 in a bullish market. That's a lot of money.
It certainly is. And while it's important to remember that crypto is a volatile asset class, the potential for significant gains is a major draw for many investors.
I can see why people are excited.
The combination of scarcity increasing adoption and the growing understanding of blockchain technology's potential has created the perfect storm for price appreciation.
So it's not just about changing the world for the better, there's also the potential to make a fortune.
Let's be realistic, profit is definitely a motivator for many in the crypto space. But I truly believe the real potential of this technology lies in its ability to transform how we think about money, finance, and even society itself.
It's a revolution in the making, but one that comes with its own set of risks and challenges. That's what makes it so exciting, though, right? The unknown, the potential for disruption, the possibility of creating a better future.
Precisely. The crypto space is a melting pot of ideas, innovation, and experimentation. It's a place where the lines between technology, finance, and social impact blur, and where the rules are still being written.
And it seems like a Trump presidency could add another layer of complexity to this already dynamic landscape.
It definitely adds an element of unpredictability.
We've discussed the potential for increased regulation, institutional adoption, and even a government-backed digital currency. But what about the man himself? What are Trump's personal views on cryptocurrency?
That's where things get a bit murky. Trump has a history of making conflicting statements about crypto.
Oh, really?
He's called Bitcoin a scam and expressed skepticism about its value. But he's also appointed individuals known to be crypto-friendly to key positions in his administration.
So it's tough to say where he really stands.
Exactly. His actions often speak louder than words, and his policies could have a significant impact on the crypto market, regardless of his personal opinions. It's a puzzle we're all trying to decipher.
It seems like the only certainty with Trump and crypto is uncertainty.
That's a pretty safe bet.
It really is fascinating to think about how cryptocurrency could change how we understand value.
It challenges our traditional view of value, tied to things like gold real estate stocks.
It feels like crypto is throwing out the old rule book and writing a new one.
Exactly. Cryptocurrencies get their value from a mix of things: scarcity, utility, and the belief of the community.
Belief.
Yeah, like a shared faith in the technology and its potential.
Okay, I can see that.
It's a decentralized system where the network, not some central authority, determines what's valuable.
So it's like a democracy of value where everyone has a voice.
You could say that. And this shift in how we think about value has the potential to change not just finance, but other parts of our lives too.
Like what? Can you give us an example?
Think about ownership. NFTs are already changing how we think about owning things in the digital world.
NFTs, non-fungible tokens.
Right.
Yep.
From art and music to virtual real estate and items in video games.
So instead of just having a copy of a digital file, you could actually own the original version that can be verified.
Precisely. And this concept of digital ownership could expand to other areas. Imagine owning your medical records, your educational degrees, even your online identity, all secured on a blockchain.
That's a pretty big idea. It would give people so much more control over their personal data.
It could. And it could lead to new marketplaces and economies built around these digital assets.
It's like an internet of value where everything can be represented as a token and traded on a decentralized network.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
This internet of value has the power to connect people and communities in ways we never thought possible before.
It's exciting to think about all the possibilities, but I'm sure there will be bumps along the way. Privacy concerns, regulations, the potential for misuse. These are all things we need to figure out as we go.
Of course. Like any new technology, crypto comes with its own set of risks and challenges. But I believe the potential benefits outweigh the risks.
You're optimistic.
I am. I think we have a chance here to shape this technology to create a world that is fairer, more equal, and more sustainable.
That's a responsibility we can't ignore.
Absolutely. The future of crypto is in our hands. It's up to us to decide how we want to use this powerful tool.
Well said. This deep dive into the world of cryptocurrency has been eye-opening. We've explored its past, its potential, its challenges, and what it could mean for the future. It's complex, it's volatile, but it's definitely not boring.
That's for sure. It's a wild ride, and it's only just getting started.
To our listeners out there, keep exploring this complex and ever-changing landscape. Stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay engaged. The future of crypto is being written right now, and we all have a part to play in shaping it.
Well said. Until next time, keep diving deep. All right, so we're back for another deep dive, and today we're looking at something pretty interesting. We got a podcast, and this one focuses on stock and options trading strategies.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we're going to be taking a look at the sponsors behind this podcast.
Okay, sounds good.
So from what I've seen, there were two sponsors that are mentioned pretty consistently throughout the episodes.
Right.
The first one's RDSP Investments,
Okay.
and the second is soundymax.com.
That's interesting.
Yeah, what do you make of that?
Well, I mean, the RDSP investments one makes sense.
Right.
You know, target audience, people interested in finance.
Exactly.
Potential investors.
Yep.
Makes sense to advertise there. But the SoundyMax one, that's a bit curious.
Yeah, soundymax.com.
Yeah, they're all about microphones from what I could gather.
Yeah, so like what's the connection?
Right. It seems a little out of place at first glance, but
Yeah.
I think it's actually quite clever.
Okay.
When you think about it, you know, who are the people that are listening to podcasts? A lot of them are probably thinking about creating their own content.
Right.
Whether that's a podcast, a YouTube channel, or anything that needs good audio.
Uh-huh.
And SoundyMax is tapping into that market,
Yeah,
directly reaching their target audience.
that's true. They're going right to the source.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it's not just about the sponsorships themselves. This podcast really leans into that whole interactive side of things, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like they're constantly asking listeners to subscribe, leave comments, even suggest future topics they want to hear about.
Which is smart.
Yeah. What do you think about that approach?
Oh, I think it's key for any podcast that wants to grow.
Okay.
You know, build that sense of community,
Yeah.
understand what the audience actually wants to hear,
Right.
keep them coming back for more.
Right. And especially for a finance-focused podcast, I would imagine that direct feedback is probably pretty valuable.
Oh, absolutely. You know, things are constantly changing.
Yeah, for sure.
Strategies need to adapt. So having that direct line to the audience.
That's gold.
So it seems like there are some pretty interesting benefits for all sides here.
Yeah, definitely.
You've got the podcast itself, getting that financial support.
Right.
The sponsors are getting that exposure to such a targeted audience. And then the listeners are getting engaging content and a platform to actually interact and share their thoughts.
It's a win-win.
It really is. And it makes you think about the relationship between content creators, sponsors, and the audience.
Absolutely.
So for everyone listening out there, I want to leave you with this thought. How much does the presence of a sponsor influence your perception of a podcast?
Good question.
Yeah, it's something to consider as we all navigate this constantly expanding world of online content.
Lots to think about.
All right, that's going to do it for this deep dive.
Well,
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you next time.
See ya.